Ready to go? Let's call this meeting for October 21st of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners together. Mike, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Byers.
Here.
Commissioner Schobel.
Here.
Commissioner Morrill.
Here.
Commissioner Mean.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
And President Hodgkinson.
Here. I'd like to thank everyone who I'm sure didn't want to be home and watching the Cubs game tonight.
Is that on today?
For coming, including all the commissioners. So thank you very much. Mike, are there any presentations or anybody wanting to speak?
No. I don't know if there's any public comment. Did anyone sign up, Donna?
No.
Okay.
Okay, great. So let's move to the consent agenda. The consent agenda has approval of the disbursements in the amount of $2,113,275.61 for the period beginning September 2nd and ending October 13th of 2015, and approval of the previous meeting minutes for the October 8th Building and Grounds Subcommittee, the October 8th Finance Subcommittee minutes, the September 9th regular meeting and the September 9th closed session minutes, the September 2nd Building and Grounds Subcommittee minutes, and the August 26th Finance Subcommittee minutes. And then we also have the approval of the final naming, because it's been on display for the past 30 days, for comments about the newly titled, if it's approved, Central Athletic Complex and Gateway Gardens, which are the names for the new facilities in the central part of town.
Before I ask to pull item number 3 off of there, when did it become Gateway Garden Park versus Gateway Park?
That may simply be my poor memory. That's what I thought it was. Maybe we can double check that.
I believe it's
Or maybe somebody knows.
I believe it's Gateway Park, but I can...
Why don't we pull number 3 off of them?
Just strike gardens.
We'll just start, yeah, I'll go along with that, right?
We'll call it a Scrivener's error.
So Gateway Park, is everyone agree with that? All right.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the change from Gateway Garden Park to Gateway Park.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by me and a second by Morrill. Are we have questions, Mr.
Yeah,
Kelly?
I think we got 1 minute item that we have to clarify. In the minutes from the last board meeting, on page 4, it was where we were talking about engaging the services of Larry Kamichek.
Yes.
And Ray had asked for a legal opinion that he could be awarded a contract. And that sentence got missed in there, so it just said, you know, Ray knows Larry can do a good job. He wants to protect the Park District of Larry. It doesn't say from what. I think that needs to be in there that
We lost a sentence somewhere. Okay.
Right.
We'll
We
put it
just
in.
need to put in there that we need a legal. We asked for a legal opinion on can we award a contract? Can the foundation award it, or can we award a contract to Larry as he's on the foundation board?
Right. And well, for the record, we can, and I don't know if we forwarded that opinion to everybody, but it's the case. We can. And
So I don't care what you add to them, but I think we should make sure that's in there.
All right, we'll make sure those minutes are amended. Any other changes than the changes to the past minutes of the other meeting and the change of the name Gateway Garden to Gateway Park? Any other questions? Roll call?
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mean?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson.
Yes. Okay, the next is the unfinished business, the approval of a low responsible bid for the GO Limited Tax Refunding Park Bonds, Series 2015C from Robert W. Baird at a final interest rate of 2.376%. We have some guests in the audience who would address any questions that we might have about this.
We get a motion going and then do it, or what?
Well, we need a motion.
So
I move that we award the 2015 C bonds to
Robert W. Baird,
Robert W. Baird at
2.376%.
2.376%.
Second.
So we have a motion by Kelly and a second by me to approve this. Questions?
I just think somebody should explain what we're doing here to, since there are people that are probably watching on TV.
Dave, would you like to explain, or who's going to explain?
Good evening. The district issued bonds in 2005. They were both tax-exempt bonds and taxable bonds, and they are currently callable so you have the ability to refund them for savings. The district has been considering the architecture of that and made a deliberation on how to proceed. We had the sales this morning, both for the 2015 C, and we'll talk also about the 2015 D issue. These were both, again, AA plus rated. The rating that the district had for the refunding of the unlimited referendum bonds from A and B were that carried over and was renewed for these. And I'll have Anthony review the actual bid results.
Thanks, Dave.
How are we doing on audio back there? Should he turn around? Okay.
Good evening. I'll speak a little bit about the bid results on the Cs and then talk about the overall results between the two issues. As Dave mentioned, we did a lot of playing with the structure of these two issues, and because we have both a taxable and a tax-exempt series, the one thing we did was we structured this so that these C bonds, the tax-exempt bonds, are issued at the later part of the maturity schedule, and the taxable bonds are issued up front, which is different than the way the original 05s were structured. They were both structured out level with each other. And the reason we did that on the refunding now is because taxable interest rates are higher than tax-exempt interest rates. So if we have both to the same term, it would be to the advantage of the district to amortize the taxable rates sooner and then pay off the tax-exempt later. So on a combined basis is really how you're looking at the savings from these two issues. We sold the C bonds first this morning, which was the tax-exempt series. Received a total of 16 bids from 4 bidders, with Robert Baird coming in at the best bid with a 2.376%. These bonds on their own, nominal savings, just dollar-to-dollar savings, was only around $40,000, but that is because, again, that we structured these towards the end. On a PV basis, there was much higher, $246,600 PV savings from just the C bonds.
Present value.
Present value savings. So over 8% PV savings, even with the restructuring of these. On a combined basis, and we can, as you guys talk about the Series D, we'll talk about the bid results there, but on a combined basis with the Series D, savings to the district from both refundings was, as I find it here, over $779,000. Present value, $756,363, which is a phenomenal result. 12%, over 12% present value savings from the refunding of both the A and the B bonds with the 2015 C and the D. One of the objectives here was to create annual savings and create additional debt service extension-based capacity with these refundings. The C and the D refundings created an additional $140,810 per year in debt service extension-based capacity.
And they were refunded basically within the same time frame, right? I think we extended them 1 year.
1 year extension.
So there was no, additional debt taken on. It's strictly a refinance, almost within the same time frame.
That's
At a
correct.
savings to the taxpayers of almost $750,000.
That's correct.
Good work.
That's great. That's great. I appreciate that. Yeah, great. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Now you can go watch the Cubs or whatever you want to.
And we'll be back next month when the limited bonds are sold. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a motion to approve the low bid for number one. That's for Robert W. Baird for 2.376%. Roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. Next, we have the approval of the lowest responsible bidder for the taxable general obligation limited tax refunding park bonds, Series 2015D, and that was to Bosk, Inc., at a final interest rate of 1.949%. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion by Morrill and a second by Kelly to approve that
Low rate.
motion. Right? Any questions? Any other questions? Adequately explained? All right. Roll call then.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. Thank you. You're welcome to stay. And Linda, are you going to address us for anything?
There should be an ordinance in your packet, so you've just now approved the
The next-
bids, but you should also
The next
formally
motion.
approve the ordinance.
Okay. All right, the next,
If I may, could we have the exact number? I realize he said it a minute ago, but I didn't mark it down. We have an approximate number in the ordinance language. Do we have the exact number for both of those?
Yes. For the par amount of the bonds,
Correct.
for the C bonds, $2,915,000, and for the D bonds, $3,020,000.
Thank you. Whoever's interested in reading the motion, did you get that?
Move to approve ordinance number 2015-04, an ordinance providing for the issue of $2,915,000 in general obligation limited tax refunding park bonds, Series 2015C, and $3,020,000 taxable obligation limited tax refunding park bonds, Series 2015D of the Wheaton Park District of Bates County, Illinois, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said park district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax, to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchasers thereof.
is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by me and a second by Morrill to approve that ordinance 2015-04. Questions or comments? Linda, any other comments?
The ordinance simply incorporates the results of the bond sales that Anthony and Dave have already reported to you, and it authorizes the bond registrar and paying agent to serve as escrow agent to hold the money between the day of closing and then December 30th of this year, which is the redemption date on the prior bonds, the date on which those bonds are paid off.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right, next we have adoption of ordinance 2015-03. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Amending the investment policy of the Wheaton Park District staff, Finance Subcommittee, and Legal Counsel recommends approval. So amending the investment policy, that's what we're looking for a motion to approve. And I believe this went through the Finance Subcommittee. Subcommittee was discussed over the last few months.
I'll move adoption of ordinance 2015-03, amending the investment policy of the Wheaton Park District.
Second.
Okay, we had a motion by Byers and a second by Morrill. Schobel, I'm sorry, Mark. A second by Schobel to adopt ordinance 2015-03. Questions or comments?
Just one comment.
Yeah.
You got a correction that just, it's a miss that you had on section H18, the top paragraph.
818, Mark?
Yeah, 818, and money market funds are, no, just strike R. ARE.
818.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mead?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right. The next item was a request to execute a professional services agreement for a lease agreement, but I believe we had a request.
I move to table.
Okay, we had a request to table this.
Could you make a motion to table 5 and 6 then?
Yeah, I move to table 5 and 6.
I think they have to be,
I don't know that they have to be separate, do they?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
my apologies.
I'll make a motion to table item 5.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Morrell to table item number 5. Any discussion?
Where's this going?
That's the information that Mike was going to get.
No, I
from the
understand that, John.
committee.
Is it being referred back to finance?
Yes, at the next Wednesday's meeting. Mike has all the new information, but there wasn't time to review it before tonight, so it'll go to finance next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, next
Correct.
Wednesday at 5:30 here.
So this second time it's come up, do we expect to move on it in December then?
Yeah.
ASAP.
November.
ASAP.
November.
I'm sorry,
Hopefully it's
November. I missed a month.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Is this a-
Aye.
This is all.
Yeah, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Item number 6, John.
I moved the table for the same reason, it's part of the same.
Second.
We have a motion by Kelly, a second by me to table item number 6 and refer it back to the Finance Subcommittee meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. All right. I think, Mike, we're just acknowledging that we made some changes in the budget in this next item.
You actually still have, yes, you're right, my mistake.
So we are putting our 2016 budget and appropriation proposal for the public review for the next 30 days out.
Correct.
We met on Saturday and reviewed it, made some changes, and we've just gotten a copy of that tonight. So we have time to review that. And then will that come back before finance? So that'll be coming back towards next Wednesday?
Actually, if I may, what we need the board to do now, which is what we typically do every year, my apologies, John, I should have asked you to bring this up, is the board, there's many reports in there, and everybody has their favorite version of the many ways to add up all the funds for the park district, so that's how this big document was created, by different requests for different types of looks at the different types of things that we do over a year. So if you could please find your favorite report or all of them and review them and send any questions you may have over the next 30 days to Rita and I and Donna. Between the three of us, we'll make sure they all get answered and disseminated back to the entire board. What we'd like to do is open and if possible, close the public hearing for the budget appropriation ordinance at the November meeting. But subsequent to receiving information from everybody, I think it might be a good idea, and it's up to the board, obviously, and the finance chair. After all the input is received, we should have a finance committee meeting in anticipation of that hearing and review those for those that are interested in doing so. Or if everybody's satisfied with the explanations provided, you can waive that need. If you want a whole month to review it, we're not going to get to meet. If you want to get it done in 2-3 weeks, we'll turn it right around. Then you have the opportunity to meet. Because the 21st of November is when we would have our public hearing. Correct, Rita? Is that the third Wednesday?
18th.
Pardon me, 18th.
18th of November.
Does that sound like a plan? Thank you.
All right, we put that up for public comment.
So I think we need at least an all in favor on acknowledging the receipt of the budget.
All right, all in favor of receiving the budget?
Thank you.
Opposed, same sign. All right, Resolution 2015-02. This is a recommendation from Finance and from staff to authorize the estimate of the annual aggregate levy in compliance with the truth in taxation law. I'm assuming this also went through finance as well.
Correct, and it's your initial estimate is the first step in the process before you pass your final levy in December.
All right.
So I move that we approve Resolution 2015-02.
Second.
Comments? Roll call? Roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. Next is the change order for Hoffman Park parking lot project. This has been through Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee. Recommends the approval of the change order number 1 with Meyer Paving Company in the amount of not to exceed $10,822.55. John, I'm going to...
Yeah, just, you got a corrected copy tonight. The one in your board packet had the change order listed at $20,000. That was the original.
I think that's the next one, John. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Wait, this is the
Hoffman.
number
This
3.
would be number 3.
Oh,
This is Hoffman. This is
Okay.
Hoffman.
Oh, this is the first one. Yeah.
It shouldn't be, we hope there's nothing wrong with the
No, this
Hoffman.
looks good.
You know, the only thing I want to add to the Hoffman Park discussion is when we took the park tour in September and went to that, we thought the building across the street was unoccupied. But I've since learned that it is going to, the sale went through in September, and it's going to be called the Greenhouse, and that's for, it's for kids who are homeschooled. I believe it's grade 1, 1st through 12th.
So I'll move that we approve change order number 1 to Meyer Paving in the amount of $10,822.55.
Second? Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion by Kelly, a second by Schobel to approve the change order. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, now, John, how about the change order for Grant Park?
So,
You want to make a motion, then you can discuss it.
well, I was just going to incorporate the right number in the motion. So you got an estimate of the change order in your board packet, and that estimate contained an error. They thought that we were going to need to do the undercut in the whole area, and it turned out only part of the parking lot. So finally, we found less unsuitable soil than we thought we were going to find, and the change order is only half the amount that was in your board packet. So I move that we approve change order number 1 to Chicagoland Paving Company in the amount of $10,270.
Second.
So we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Schobel, is that correct? All right.
Now, just if you remember on the change on this paving project, the board approved a $30,000 contingency, so we spent about $20,000 of it. And I think we have one more parking lot to, Steve, is it right? We have one more parking lot we got to go to?
The pathways.
Just the pathways. So, you know, right now we're under the contingency and we're hoping the pathways, a smaller project, we should be good on that one too. So if anything pops up on that, Buildings and Grounds will just be directing the contractor to proceed, provided we're not exceeding that total $30,000 that the board had approved in the beginning.
We have a motion on the floor. We can do the voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Okay, now next is the bid results and recommendations for the fuel supply and delivery. Is there a motion? It's number 5.
Move to approve the fuel supply and delivery recommendation proposal from Heritage FS for that delivery in the amount of .01310 cents per gallon for the period December 2015 through November 2017.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by me and a second by Kelly to approve the fuel supply and delivery recommendation. Any discussion? Voice vote?
You can take a roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right, next we have the...
James,
sorry.
before you get to this item, I just let you know that I'm not going to participate in this discussion due to potential conflict of interest, so, but I'm not going to bother to leave the room, I just
That's
want.
fine. Thank you, John. Thanks for making us aware of that. The next is approving the expenditures in excess of $10,000 and under the bid limit of $20,000 for removing 50 ash trees at Arrowhead at a cost not to exceed $16,960.
So moved.
with Nels Johnson.
by Nels Johnson, tree expert.
So moved.
We have a motion by Schobel
Second.
and a second by Byers to approve that recommendation. Any discussion or
No, the
questions?
column that you got on the quote here, it should remove seal coating. On the report. Seal coating.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I hope 16 West is one of the ones that is scheduled to go down. Do you know, Andy?
Which ones?
16 West. You got one right there at the bend, about 80 yards up from the green. It's really in bad shape. It's kind of, I think it's a safety issue more.
16 west, east?
Yeah, it's,
You
it
mean
would be
east?
at the turn.
16 East, sorry, yeah.
Yes, yes. That's a big one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that one's, yeah. Yes. I was thinking west, but yes,
Yeah.
east, yes.
Any other questions or comments? Are we doing a roll call?
The amount, I don't know, Mark.
It's under the bid limit.
Under the bid limit, we can take it all in favor, right?
Yeah,
No.
that's it.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. All right, approval of expenditures related to commissioner attendance to the IPRA, the Illinois Park and Recreation Association, and the Illinois Association of Park District Educational Conference and Exposition at a maximum cost of $907.84 per attendee.
To approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by me and a second by Morrell to approve the potential attendance to this conference. Any discussion?
So we're just getting out ahead of the registration period?
Yeah.
I thought you were looking for tonight to approve the people going, right?
Well, it's easier to, yeah, it's certainly nice to know if you've had enough time to consider it with the information that was provided to you about the conference. The reason for the timing is an early bird rate, which would save, I don't know, $100 per person if we get it in November. I don't believe we've heard back from any interested parties yet. For what it's worth, I would encourage, if there's any commissioners who are not interested in maybe the whole experience, a day visit on a particular day, to visit the exposition center and learn more about the trades of the business, and possibly a class is also a possibility.
I think that's at a reduced rate, right?
Oh yeah, much reduced.
I think this is if you're registered.
This is if you're going to the whole Megillah.
Right, but I think according to our policy, if the commissioner's going to go, we have to approve it. So if we
Correct.
don't approve any tonight, and then somebody wants to go, we're going to have to approve those in November.
Right.
So we just,
So we're not approving anybody tonight. Okay.
All right. I think because of the dollar amount, we could potentially say just a voice vote
Yeah.
on this one. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. All right. Ordinance number 2015-05, the disposal and sale of personal property owned by the Wheaton Park District.
Somebody has to read all of those items in.
Yes, they do, and I'm waiting for them.
There's about 1,000 of them. Move to approve the ordinance 2015-05 as presented with, let's say, just a significant amount of miscellaneous
Yeah.
obsolete equipment. How about that?
well put.
Second.
Can you get that down?
There's multiple pages here of pieces of equipment. All right, roll call?
It's an ordinance, yes. Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkins?
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, amendment to the Wheaton Park District outdoor athletic policies and fees effective January 1st, 2016. This is a recommendation that came through Buildings and Grounds and was reviewed by them. So I'd like a motion to,
I'd like to make that motion, but I'm going to get a little creative with it. I move to approve the proposed athletic policies and fees effective with pertaining to...
That's the
Oh, I'm
next
sorry,
one.
am I on the wrong one?
Yeah, but
take it back.
I would like to, before a motion is made, there's a section in there on the athletic and the policies itself, not the fees. The fees are fine. John, did you locate that section we need to strike?
Yeah.
there's a carryover from a concept that we decided would not be a good idea.
It's in the statement of issue, the summary in the,
At page 2 towards the bottom.
I had it in the summary sheet, I haven't actually found it in the,
It's under scheduling, section 2I.
right, we're going to take that out, correct?
Section 2, we need a motion absent section 2I, please.
Yes,
Removing all of I
2I.
2I.
to I. All
What's your
right.
motion, John?
That was it, huh?
Yes. Okay, that's your motion.
Yeah.
John's
You made
making
the
that motion.
You made one.
No, I started on the second one.
Oh, okay.
So John, you moved, did anybody second?
I'm going to, right?
All right, so I move to approve the athletic rates with the exception of deleting paragraph I from section 2 schedule.
Thank you.
All right. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Now, is this the amendment to the athletic field use?
Specifically for, yeah, it is, but this is outside of the policy you just passed. We have long-standing relationships with some other youth-serving organizations in the community, and I think as far back as when Ray was coaching Little League, that's been the case. So we're handling them separately, and we have we have to catch up on a fee increase and a service increase simply to recover our costs that have grown beyond their current fee that occurs with Rob's department. Just making sure we're not underwriting it, we're just taking what we spent.
So we have a motion by me and a second by Kelly
Yes.
to approve this.
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passed.
If I may, we will be, the effectiveness of those increases will be with their respective very next new season. So for Copion, it would be a slightly different time period than Briarcliff, just because the next season for Copion starts in the fall, and the next season for Briarcliff starts in the spring. So just to clarify that.
Okay. The next item is the recommendation to establish a full-time assistant fitness manager position at Parks Plus Fitness.
So moved.
You have a motion by Morrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Byers. This was reviewed by the Finance Subcommittee, I believe,
Yeah.
and approved. All right. Any discussion or comments? All right. Roll call. Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yep.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. Next is the Arrowhead Food Supply bid results and recommendations. Would anybody like to make this motion?
Sure. Okay, so I move that we approve contracts for Arrowhead Food based on the bid results and the recommendations contained in the October 21st, 2015 minutes, which are part of the board packet.
As reported on the agenda.
All right.
I'll second all that.
Well, good. We have a motion. We have a motion by Kelly and a second by me to approve the Arrowhead Food Supply bid results. Are there questions or comments? Because we have very knowledgeable people in the audience who are going to answer them.
If I may make a comment in advance of commissioners, I simply want to congratulate all the food and beverage staff and Andy Bendy for creating an outstanding program that is saving us literally tens of thousands of dollars a year and helped us create great relationships with the vendors that provide our food. So congratulations on keeping costs down and quality up.
Good work.
Yeah, I think it's going much smoother than it did the first couple of times. So.
This is your favorite thing to do, isn't it, Andy?
We We love it.
This was a mammoth. This was a mammoth.
Yeah, and we have no recommendations for non-low bidders this time, which makes it really.
All right, let's have a roll call on this one, Mike.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Me.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel.
Yes.
Commissioner Byers.
Yes.
And President Hodgkinson.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Nice job. Thank you very much. Is anybody watching the score out there?
4-0, they're losing.
4-0?
It was quick.
First innings.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm getting
You're taking
broken
it,
from my
yes.
sister.
I wanted to know.
No, I don't want to waste my time.
All right, next, the agency-wide phone system. We had a recommendation to pursue discussing this further with one company, but I think that we were thinking about the possibility of another company. And John, I wondered if you would want to comment on that.
So we got this in time to look at it at the last Finance Committee meeting, but we really didn't have a chance to dial down on each of the bidders. And in looking at the whole thing in the board packet, I sent Mike a couple of questions on total amounts spent, and I'm not. So basically what we have is we have our consultant went and picked one manufacturer for the system and then went out and got multiple bids from multiple providers of the same phone system. And we're looking at a cloud system, and everybody at the finance meeting agreed that a cloud system is going to be better than buying a regular PBX head-end system with all the costs that go with it. The consultant came back to us with recommendations, and basically two of the bidders ranked virtually the same. He had them ranked at 1.2 and the other one was at 1.25. And the consultant put in his letter that he thought that he had whittled it down to 3 very good companies and that any one of those companies would be great for the Park District. But then the recommendation came in to go with the more expensive one. And I called Mike, and I'm like, Mike, I'm not understanding this. If the consultant is recommending we should be looking at the lowest option. And the lowest option is with us buying just the phones themselves, but still having the cloud-based system. And I sent Mike a table, and if we went with the ANPI leased equipment, a 3 would cost me $155,000, and if we laid down the $15,000 for the phones up front, we'd only be out $120,000 total over the 3 years. So we're talking about a $35,000 savings, and that's enough to buy the equipment twice if it goes bad. So
John, May.
my opinion was we should be looking at this, so I asked Mike, should we be thinking about going back to finance and re-talking about this, or should the board authorize Mike and staff to continue their dialogue? But I'd like to see us talking to the Nexia, the guy who's the low bidder. I think it's Nextiva.
One more point of clarification. All we're asking for today is the authorization to negotiate best price with one of these firms, and we're fine with Nextiva as well. I think that the slight difference in cost it was, I think the explanation that I think is that the firm that was slightly higher had a deeper bench and a longer service history, but I agree with John's comments that their preliminary cost probably requires, with the consultants saying they're all, just as good, we should go with Nextiva. So all I need is a direction from the board to begin negotiations with Nextiva as opposed to ANPI, and bring you back final pricing in November.
For Nextiva and ANPI?
No, just Nextiva.
I think, are we in agreement with that?
That's my, so I'll make a motion that we authorize Mike and staff to begin negotiations to finalize an agreement with Nextiva, and they can analyze the lease versus purchase option. Nextiva is the lowest on both, so I just think it's important.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Morrill to approve, to provide that direction to the staff. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is the Memorial Park Master Plan. Staff is recommending selecting Kinley Horn at a cost not to exceed $30,000. And Memorial Park, we've had some requests to improve the memorial to the soldiers in that park and to improve the visibility for people coming to events, those kinds of things. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right,
Select
thanks.
Kinley Horn at a cost not to exceed $30,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Morrill and a second by Byers to approve that. Any other discussion?
Can you just refresh my memory on Saturday, where did that fall when we were ranking all the projects we wanted to do?
It was top
Is this a high-
three. It was
is this
top
one
three
of the
amongst
top?
the board, yeah. Top
This
three.
was a top project, right? Okay.
Are we going to get minutes for that meeting?
Yeah, the draft was completed today by Andrea, and we're just reviewing them, and we need to get them to everybody who was there to finalize them.
All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes.
As a final, as I indicated in the report, the final scope will be presented to the Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee for concurrence. We're following the recommendation for a cap on expenditures. We'll try to keep it under that.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Next is the easement purchase proposals for the cell towers. And I believe we are,
I don't believe there's a need to table since this essentially says a consideration, but pack a lunch for the 28th. We'll be having two formal
Mike, why don't you
presentations.
explain to the rest of the board members who haven't been at those meetings
Okay.
what you're proposing? So-
We have, and I think Mark and Ray know the most about this because they were here when all this went down originally. We have a cell tower with the capacity for multiple tenants at Adden Park. It also doubles as it's actually a light standard that doubles as a cell tower. One of the carriers, the primary carrier actually, has given us, in certain terms, not uncertain terms, that they're eventually going to be decommissioning cell towers because they're not going to exist. They're being absorbed. I don't remember the exact details. At any rate, now is a time for us to look at selling the balance of our lease before it goes away. And we have an option from the current current landlord, which is Crown Castle, and we have an offer from another outfit, and we have the need to review those, and we intend to do that at the Finance Subcommittee meeting. I believe we've got a very nice offer on the table that would provide a significant one-time revenue jump and then have the possibility for future revenue. So I look forward to sharing with you the results of both proposals on the 28th, and God willing and the creek don't rise, we have time to take action and take advantage of the timing.
So
Hopefully they're not watching.
you're
It's
more and more
finalized,
this.
I want to get the numbers, so I can give it to Sprint. It's right down the street, and I can crack coverage.
So, more and more of this stuff is coming up at these committee meetings. So some of these topics interest you. If you can come to the meeting, that helps so we can get more people's opinion than just who's able to make these meetings.
and just as a reminder, that'll be the next Wednesday at 5:30 at the museum, and anybody is welcome.
And if people want these meetings to move to the evening, like the Buildings and Grounds meeting, so they can attend, just let me know. We can always switch these and do a meeting that's a little later, so everybody who wants to attend can.
All right. Then we have some reports from staff.
Yes, I have provided the most recent correspondences from the city concerning the TIF environment. To recap, TIF 1 is expiring at the end of this year, and what the city is now doing is looking to capture as much increment as it can prior through an amendment to the budget of the TIF with the intent of shifting at the end of the TIF 1 life all of the fund reserve, which is I think 1.3 million, plus this additional 750 to TIF 2, which under certain circumstances you can do if they're adjacent. We are having for the board's education, and perhaps nothing further depending on whether you want it, we're getting a legal opinion on their current decision to use. The advisory process is what governs this decision by City Council. I will say that the advisory process is a toothless process. If the board directs me to go in and say, we don't want you to do this, it really doesn't matter. I'd say the more relevant issue for us is, again, the possible dialogue of what becomes of TIF 2. The Park District will certainly see an increase when TIF 1 comes off the books. It's in the vicinity of I think it's $150,000 a year. Rita, is that accurate? That we'll see an increased taxes just from the increment now going to us as opposed to the city. So that's a good thing. So I want to make sure everyone's understanding what the city is doing. Up until this point, I have been your representative on the advisory board. I'm always willing to cede that responsibility to any interested board member. But I basically wanted to let you know they're going to do this. I don't see any money in advocating against it because we really don't have a vote in this case. However, I want to continue to because it's related, to stress that there's some dialogue going on amongst the 3 units of government, their staff at least, concerning the possibility that the city had put forward 6 months ago about a possible expansion in geography and extension in size of TIF 2, which under certain circumstances that the Park District may benefit from, you may or may not agree to. Now you'd have to agree to that one. And so would the school if it was to happen. That's where actually we get a vote. Because they need legislative action to expand and extend a TIF down in Springfield, and one negative letter, either from us or the school district, and it's dead.
So like you say, the advisory process is pretty toothless regarding TIF 1. Could there be any changes in the process for TIF 2 if we were to?
The process is set by legislation. It's the difference in actions the city's going to take that make the TIF 1 question of the amendment so they can shift the most money to TIF 2 as possible. That only requires council action as long as they have an advisory meeting. The issue of extending a TIF in years and in geography requires legislative action. Pardon?
And expanding it.
Yeah, both. They actually want to do both, and we have possibilities where it could benefit the Park District. The real rub is going to be whether or not the school can be convinced that it's good for the school as well.
And beyond that, if we feel like we don't have a lot of recourse in the administration of the TIF afterwards, and that's got to be way under decision whether or not we want to extend TIF 2 even.
Well, if somehow there's a successful negotiation between the 3 units of government, which one of you, Jane, would decide, I'm assuming, probably the finance guy, would be involved. It may just be no, and it's just going to run out of gas in 7 years, and then we'll make up that increment. But the possibility exists that you can write the TIF ordinance. The city can choose to write a TIF ordinance that incorporates the good things that they legally can do for other units of government within the TIF boundary. Then it's law, and they have to do it.
So there would be more
we have the ability. We're at the table. We're at the table as long, frankly, we're at the table if the school district says they're interested in being at the table. Because whether we're interested or not, again, one larger unit of government will most likely not wanting anything to do with an extension or an expansion would kill it. So, we've maintained and we put in writing with approval that we have an interest in discussing the expansion and extension of TIF 2 because its extension could go into 2 of our properties, and then they could legally assist us in developing those properties. But the school, the city, they need to be creative with how the school can become a partner and possibly end the loss of the increment earlier on TIF 2. Right now, nobody's making any money on TIF 2 as status quo for 8 years, except the city and their issue bonds against that increment. The possibility of expanding TIF 2 resets the clock, and possibly everybody could make some of that increment now while helping the city achieve their goals for downtown redevelopment. You're so informed. I think if it pleases the board, I would express at the advisory meeting that concerning the amendment to TIF 1, I'm going to be present at the advisory meeting and simply say that, you can do this, so I guess go ahead and do it if it's your intent. I mean, do we need an overwhelming vote of support, or do we just need to go and let them do their job?
It's valueless, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go and we'll indicate this is what you're going to do, it's what you're going to do. Please keep in mind, we'd love to see something magical happen with TIF 2, which is where all this money's going. So it would benefit us to just stay the course on their plan on TIF 1.
Thank you.
So absent any formal vote, I'll take that as consensus to go to the meeting and be quietly supportive of their desire.
By me.
Well, and we're having a finance committee.
Sadly, the joint review board meeting is the morning of that meeting. So, and then the council will take action in November just on this amendment. But again, they're going to do what they're going to do, and it allows the possibility for more dollars to go into downtown redevelopment, which is the TIF that we hope to, be a future partner in. Or not. It's going to take a significant alignment of planets, in my opinion. But I always remain hopeful.
Okay. No other discussion about the TIF. I'm going to move on to, we received the pool report from Wendy Russell, and we also received the department reports. And I wondered if people wanted to make any comments or ask questions about those. And John, why don't we start with you? Okay.
I just had one. Wendy, you said you had, respondents for your the facilities. How many people took part in that?
Pardon me?
In the respondents for the
survey
facility?
How many people respond to it?
Right.
About 25, 30 people
Only
respond
that?
to those
Oh, really?
surveys.
Okay. And then it also makes something about makeover of the facility. Did any of them make suggestions what they'd like to see?
No.
Jonathan, you got it? Okay. Greg?
Yeah, just a couple comments. It's a very thorough report. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to see that the pools are about $160,000 in the red, but I don't think it's due to the lack of effort on the part of marketing to try and market the facility. I think you've gone above and beyond board as far as trying to market it, and it's a real serious question that we've got to answer at some point in time is, are we either going to subsidize it to that degree, continue to subsidize it, and or what are we going to do to try and turn it around? One of the things that I've suggested for years is that we reach out to Warrenville and Winfield and try and see what we can do to get their residents interested in buying passes either for Rice and or Northside.
We're meeting next week.
And I don't know if we should have a heavy hand when we meet with them. I think sometimes we're the beggars. Because we're hurting 163,000 or 160,000 thereabouts. It's a lot of money.
If I may make a comment in response to that, the dialogue I'd like to start, and I've already told them I want to, and shouldn't be closed about it, is while we are contemplating an upgrade, whether it be fix what we have or make it nicer, my intention with Winfield and Warrenville, and they know this, is to ask them if they want to be financial partners in the restoration and buy their residency that way. So that's kind of my angle. I think we would derive a greater partnership dollar amount, and they would have a greater ability to have ownership. Obviously, that's along the lines of the TIF issue. That's going to take some significant planet alignment, but I think it's a conversation considering the conversations that go on these days about the number of governments we have. A solid partnership for facility construction between 3 park districts, I think, is a good idea to pursue.
Any other questions or comments? No.
So Wendy, thanks. Great report, very comprehensive. I was happy to see that, our Wheaton residents accounted for 91% of our staff at the pools. I think that's pretty cool. I know that we didn't have a lot of return on that survey, but, all but the pool fees, we rated right up there just under 5, and 5 was the optimum. So that says a lot to us, or about us. But when they, noted our pool fees were not necessarily to their liking, I also looked at pool fees, the comparison that you gave us, and we ranked at about the 53rd percentile, in terms of our pool fees. And then I don't know if the other park districts offer the various sales, the winter sale, the Black Friday sale, and so forth. But if they don't, we really rated very low in terms of our rates, which I think says a lot about it and about how we manage the pools. And I think it should be noted that there's no anticipation of an increase in our fees for 2016. Is that correct?
Right.
Nice job, Wendy.
John, any other comments? No. All right. Any other business to come before the board?
Congratulate Council Boo for being AZA accredited.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very good. For 5 years, correct?
For another 5 years.
For another 5 years. Cosley is accredited. That's great news.
We, as an aside, our camping program is up for reaccreditation as well. I don't know when we're going to hear the word on that, but I would expect with the excellent job Vicki and Megan and their team do that we should achieve reaccreditation there as well. We hope to bring the good news in next month.
Thank you very much. Do you want to mention the gift the museum has received?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody is aware of it or became aware of it, but at the last county board meeting, Mr. Dan Goodwin of Inland Real Estate made formal a donation to the DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation, $200,000 for the Wheaton Park District share of the roof restoration that is so desperately needed over there. So our participation in the roof project, as called out in our IGA at 25%, we will meet that without needing to dip into our reserves or my asking you to do so. It's a very, very amazing gift that Mr. Goodwin has given the foundation, and it's a good thing, and I'm still kind of speechless about it. It's good. I have the check and everything.
Any other? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mark, I'm sorry I ruined your night.
It's all right.